Ben, and today we have a special guest, Dillon.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me today, Ben.
All right, today we're going to be talking tech with Dillon. All right, what are we going to be talking about?
I think a good topic would be energy. Okay, so actually I was doing my own research a little bit, and I found out, hydrogen fuel cells. You know what those are, right? They convert hydrogen gas and oxygen gas into water, and that's about it. That's the only byproduct, and it's phenomenal. It releases copious amounts of energy, and they actually have some buses that run off of it, and it's a great way for the future. But the only problem is that they don't know how to. It's like fusion. They can't put in enough energy to get the energy they need out because of.
And its products are good too, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's water and
water vapor.
And I think hydrogen or something.
Yeah, hydrogen. I mean, it's great. It's sustainable. There's no byproducts. Like even with solar power, you have to get the gold, the precious metals, which is mining. Which mining is one of the worst environmental hazards there is, and it's good. But I wrote an essay on it, and it was and actually it won first for teams, technology, engineering, test of engineering, aptitude, math, and science. Won first place in the state, and it was on the future of hydrogen fuel cells. And actually, I did a lot of work for it.
It's very interesting. I think hydrogen fuel cells definitely have a spot in future energy. I also think that we got solar. If we get an improvement in solar technology to make cheaper and with better materials, we could be seeing larger solar farms,
yes,
and along with other renewable resources. But we all know we're going electric for the future.
Oh, yes.
In everything, pretty much.
Cars, even. I mean, hell, the new electric cars look nice.
Yeah, it's a very radical design.
Yes.
A lot of them are going with a lot of.
I heard brands like all the German brands, BMW, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes.
And
they're
General Motors too. They're all getting on that train.
2050, I think, was the year. They want to all be completely electric by.
Wow.
Which is great.
That's going to be interesting because that's not too long from now.
Yeah,
that's 30 years.
The new president's plan, he wants to be completely renewable by 2050, which would be fantastic.
I think it definitely would. I mean, electric has some
great potential. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, so as I was saying with the hydrogen fuel cells, it's there. The technology we have isn't quite there, but we're almost there. It's amazing how it can be developed. Because I said in San Francisco, there's buses that run on hydrogen fuel cells, and there's actually this thing I read about. It's called OTEC, Ocean Thermal. I don't know what the E stands for. Circulation. And basically what it does is there's two power plants in the world. There's one in France and there's one in Australia, Sydney. And basically what it does is it takes the moving tides and it runs ammonia through the tides, and when the tide's high, it heats up the ammonia and it rises. And then when it cools, it comes down and use it to turn a turbine. And it's very
Does that
expensive.
not affect the saltwater?
No, it doesn't.
It's a separate.
No environmental effects whatsoever, except maybe a little bit of erosion where you build it on the shore. But
Is it those things, the things that go up and down with the tide?
Yes.
I've seen those. Those are cool. Yeah.
It produces not too much energy, but it's viable for coastal cities or something like that. It would definitely be a way to produce energy for small cities on the coast and stuff like that.
And I think we have a long-term future relating to atomic energy when we talk about fission and fusion.
Oh yes, fusion, cold fusion. That's exciting to think about.
So what's the difference between fission and fusion? Because I literally just forgot.
Fission is fission's when you have an atomic nuclei, right? And they shoot a neutron at it and it breaks up the nuclei. Fusion is they take two smaller nuclei and they break it up. I think in fission they use uranium-235. It's very unstable, and but the only problem with that is when you get uranium, right? I think it's about 2% of uranium is uranium-235. So 98% of the uranium we find is unusable in fission. But if we had fusion, we could use whatever you want as long as it adds up to 235 for the isotope.
So we've been able to achieve fusion?
Fission. We have fission.
Fusion's the thing we haven't done yet.
No,
right?
We're trying to get to it. We can do it. It just takes so much energy. It's like creating antimatter. It's not feasible.
And I read some things about fusion reactors that get 10 times hotter than the core of the sun.
Yes.
And it's the hottest known area of the universe that we know.
I don't know. My computer CPU, when I try to boot up Google Chrome, is same way. So like.
Same with this thing, 200 Fahrenheit sometimes. Yeah, it's cooking eggs.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get onto my school account, man. But as I was saying, like, yes, fusion. If we master cold fusion, we would be able to. Nothing.
How does cold fusion work?
It's basically doing it in like a vacuum chamber when there's not absolute zero, but very close. So there's no heat lost or no heat required. So that basically takes out all the energy required to do it. Because usually when we're doing it now, we heat it up to, like you said, like 10,000 degrees Celsius or something insane, and we fuse them together that way. But if it's cold, we do it in a vacuum, and there's no particles that interfere with that, so we can just do it. It's like I don't know analogy to explain it to you.
So another topic for the future, I think, along with energy, as we expand outside of Earth to Mars and future planets, as we inevitably will, computing is the next biggest thing. Along with energy and data, computing is going to be king. I've heard of the singularity being predicted to be around 2040 to 2050. That's not that long from now, and that is when computer intelligence surpasses human intelligence. And if you think about how our brain works, it's just based off physics and biological patterns that all creatures have that can be replicated artificially. So I think it's going to be really interesting in the future to see how that comes into play with computing. What are your thoughts?
I definitely think so, but I'm not sure I agree with you when you say that computing power would pass human intelligence, because computers, as of now, and I can't speak for the future, don't have that ability to reason. Then you start getting into what creates a human consciousness, like what gives you the ability to reason, use logic, and we don't know that yet. We don't know what gives you a soul. I think this one book I read, I can't remember his name. When it comes to me, I'll say it. But he talked about the collapse of a wave function, right? And he thinks that Schrodinger's wave equations, that they all collapse inwards on each other, like they all cease to exist. Like it's when they all come together at one point and they all collapse in. And he thinks that at that point it creates consciousness. And that's, I don't know.
So you think quantum mechanics has a role in consciousness?
I think quantum mechanics has a role in everything.
It does, yeah.
Yes, and even biological mechanisms, but I think everything, quantum mechanics might actually impact everything we do.
So are you a believer in string theory, or what do you believe is like at the fundamental level? Do you believe in quantum foam, or do you?
I'm not sure what I believe. I'm not really a proponent of string theory. I don't think it really makes too much sense when you're talking about the quantum world and everything like that. Quantum foam would make a lot of sense, but it's more like of a theoretical thing. Like there's a percentage of energy here, a percentage of energy there. There's no like defined amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of, I don't know too much about the topic to get that deep into it yet, but I'm currently more into the fact that everything is ruled by probability.
Yes.
And quantum physics, because the math proves it's just probability, and it's not randomness, it's statistics.
Yes, it's statistics.
And what fascinates me is that we have classical physics, which has been proved
time and time again.
Every time we launch rockets into space, these Coke bottles are made. Everything is that. Most of the stuff we have now is like with classical mechanics, and now we have the quantum mechanics and quantum physics. This computer, my watch, electronics. They all use that concept. But what's interesting to me is how can we have a world of predictable entities, like if I throw this Coke bottle, I can find out exactly how and when it will land, made of unpredictable or probable parts of quantum things. That's what I find interesting.
That's where quantum computing can come in, because you think about it, the computing power in a quantum computer is more than any computer we can even think of today, right?
Mm-hmm. Because it's exponential.
Yes,
it's like
instead
bits,
of being like a 1 or a 0, it's a 1 and a 0.
It could be both. Yeah,
it's the same. So, but it's crazy to think about. But I also think treatment, like cancer treatment, genetic diseases like dementia, schizophrenia, everything that plagues us today, like Ozzy Osbourne, bless up, Parkinson's disease. We can't cure that. But I think that quantum mechanics will really help us find a way to cure that. They have something called proton beam therapy. It's very new, and what they do is they shoot a proton, and it's highly energized with kinetic energy, and they shoot it basically onto your tumor, and what it does is deposits that kinetic energy due to conservation of energy. It has to go somewhere, and basically it causes the tumor to like unravel on itself. And the only problem was that it can give you secondary cancer. But I believe
it splits the tumor.
Yes. But I believe if we could kind of like tone it down, maybe do a little bit less high intensity streams, we could be a way to cure not cure cancer, but get rid of tumors.
Yeah, and once we figure out how to, if we do manipulate quantum states and have total control of that, which we may never, we don't know, because if it is all truly probability, then we won't be able to. But if we somehow were able to get some form of control, we could do so many things. We would look like a type 3 civilization very quickly, with the ability to control how atoms are built and be able to manipulate individual atoms.
Yeah.
That's pretty far out. I mean, that's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, but you don't know. In the next 10 years or so, it might be a reality.
And with quantum computing, we have quantum computing today, which just fascinates me because since the 70s, there's been theories on how a quantum computer can work.
Well, yeah, we have quantum computers today. They just have to be an absolute zero. Not really, but like.
Well, there's different designs for the quantum computers.
Yes.
Like an ion trap, I believe it's called, quantum computer, is a very, in my opinion, a very promising approach, as it's super scalable. But the best part is the fact that it doesn't have to be at absolute zero or close. It can be at room temperature, which is pretty amazing if we can do that. But the reason why you see IBM and like Google and all the big companies doing I believe it's the supercapacitor type, it's the absolute zero, the really close one like D-Wave and stuff. It's just because they were able to do it better in the sense they haven't scaled ion traps up yet. But if you just need a super high like quality pressure chamber, it's a vacuum chamber, sorry. You just need a super high pressure vacuum chamber, or actually super low pressure vacuum chamber, and you'll be able to stabilize the ions in that held with magnetic fields and be able to read with lasers. And imagine if you just had like little boxes or little shelves of them, you could have what looks like a server today.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get into electricity and magnetism, that's a way to get it. Like, magnetic fields are critical in creating a quantum computer, especially in ion traps. And I think the thing with supercapacitors, it doesn't utilize that. It uses electric field between the capacitors, but it doesn't utilize a magnetic field in any way, which I think is, because when you create a magnetic field, you have a current in it, you're going to create an electric field, and that builds on the magnetic field. It's kind of in a way like not infinite energy, but it's building on itself, which I think would be vital in creating a quantum computer.
It's going to be interesting. I think quantum computing is going to be, if we can really figure out how to create a sustainable, affordable, room temperature, scalable quantum computer, eventually that will be the next computing industry. However, with current predictions, pretty much every analyst says now in this field that quantum computing will never replace classical computing, unfortunately, due to the fact that once it is observed, it becomes a classical computer, you could say, because it is in that state of uncertainty in all these possible states, but once it finally ends its calculations and is observed, it is now a simple classical computer, and it has to be reset. But think, if we were able to reset it quicker, find better ways to do it, quantum computing might be better.
But you get into that, but it also might help it, because like you think, I read a theory and saw on the role of quantum mechanics in photosynthesis, and when the electron train, the ETC in photosynthesis, the electron has to get across the cytochrome B into like a little chamber where it can deposit its energy, right? So it has to jump across these chlorophyll little things, right? And this is really simplified. This isn't good, right? But it has to jump across, and there can be millions of these. and it has to get the path like across. And you think like, how does it know to get? There's only one right path, right? So how does it know to get across that one right path in what, a fraction of a millisecond? The fraction of a fraction of a millisecond, and it could be that it just does all of them at once. Quantum mechanics.
It could be in multiple places at once. It could be already over there.
Yes, but it could try every path at once and go on the path that it tried. So that's the thing that quantum computers can be. Like, it tries everything, and as soon as you observe it, it does the thing that you might need it to be, which...
It's like brute force code, but like all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting to see these applications for this. All right, now let's talk about folding and rolling displays, mainly OLED, obviously, because that's what we have so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you see with displays in the future? How do you see folding and rolling displays being implemented more in the future?
I mean, I think it might be a critical part in the future. Like you've already seen it. Like, even right now, I have the iPhone X, right? You've seen that they're trying harder to get more screen and less everything else. Hell, the black back's even replaced with glass. Like, it's going to get to a point where it's not all screen, but yes, OLED screens where you can bend it will definitely be a part. See, it eliminates the needs for what, like watches or anything? Because if I'm going
to bend it around your thumb.
Yeah, if I'm going to go for a run, I don't need my running watch anymore. I just bend it around my arm and it tracks my position probably better than the running watch does.
Mm-hmm.
So it eliminates the need for that, but I think it's definitely would be a vital part in the future of cell phones.
Yeah, I think wearables are going to be huge in this category because when you think of this, it's just insane. And the fact that we would be able to take a display that we've had only for less than 100 years or around 100 years and be able to eventually just bend it as a sheet as thin as a piece of paper, that's just absurd to think about.
It's absurd, but it's exciting.
It's definitely exciting, especially with Samsung's folding phone and Apple's folding phone coming in possibly 2022. We're gonna start seeing the generation of phones that fold that are actually affordable. Anyways, guys, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you, Dylan, for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you guys next week. Let us know in the comments if you enjoy these type of videos. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Peace.